Hi everyone. Before I go into the question and answer session, I'll give a brief introduction of myself. I'm Jissy A. I'm currently working as a Senior Lead Investigator at Alembic Pharma in the Department of Drug Discovery. I completed my PhD from IISER TVM in 2013, moved on to do 2 postdocs, first in Münster, Germany, which was in the field of developing QMMM method, targeting proteins and protein-ligand interactions. The second was in Karlsruher, KIT, where I was involved in the development of a semi-empirical method, DFTB. Then I wanted to apply my expertise in the field of drug discovery and hence secure the Marie Curie funding from the European Union to develop anti-cancer inhibitors targeting topoisomerase. This project was carried out at Italian Institute of Technology, Genoa, Italy. So I'll start with how I joined there. So once I completed the project at Italy, I wanted to, shift from academia to a company. Plus, I also wanted to come back to India. Now, the two were a quite difficult combination because at the time I started looking for jobs, there was hardly any real drug discovery going on in the companies here. In addition, not anyone was applying or using computation for drug discovery, at least the way I would have, imagined to do so. However, last August, the group leader, our current group leader, approached me via LinkedIn, so he didn't know me personally, but saw my LinkedIn profile and thought that it would be nice to talk to me and asked if I would be interested in an opportunity to lead the computational efforts of a newly set up, actually it was being set up at that time, a new drug discovery group at Alembic. And the opportunity, the more we discussed, the opportunity seemed quite enticing to me because I was going to get a chance to set up a computational lab from scratch, including hardware, software, even the electrical requirements, and everything. So apart from just applying my expertise on, a project which was already there, I would be involved in everything, which was very fascinating at that time for me. And after 10 months, I could say that I stand by my judgment. At that time, we were just a group of 2 group leaders and 1 me. And slowly right now, we are a group of 9 people. Each an expert, each specialized in a particular field, such as computational chemistry, computational biology, organic synthesis, medicinal chemistry, biology. And we're not just sitting in separate cabins and doing our jobs. We are a group who talk to each other almost every single day and sometimes more than once a day. We learn from each other's fields. We get to hear from the experiences, from what they're doing right now in the project. We interact constantly and apart from just learning, we also get to contribute to each other's, work, although it's not separate. So we're working as a team, as a group, which is great for me. So I'm enjoying right now. I do not completely agree that I did any of the postdocs or even my PhD just in chemistry. So the demarcations are not there, at least not now. The lines which are drawn between the subjects is very smudgy now. So though I did get a PhD in computational chemistry, I worked on DNA and proteins. And if I say, the first postdoc was in the Department of Chemistry, but the second was in the Department of Physics. Now they have terms like biophysics, biochemistry, biology, physics, chemistry, but there's nothing so, so clear-cut. It's just you have to put a name of the department, but that doesn't mean you are working only in that specific field. There is no specific field anymore. So I did so-called my postdocs or my PhD in chemistry. Actually, even it seems that whoever asked the question, they have a feeling that I did it in biology. But the fact is that when I chose the topic, you have to choose a topic when you apply for Marie Curie funding. The topic I chose was theoretical chemistry. So as I said, there's no clear lines between any of the subjects. So I got it because I mailed to anyone whose group I was interested in. I went to the internet and looked at the different groups, what they were doing, what kind of papers, publications they had, were the postdocs actually having any papers, a lot of things, in general. And then I wrote a mail to them and sent my cover letter, sent a CV, and asked if there would be no suitable opportunity for me. And I did get a postdoc, and you already heard in my introduction. However, at this time, I would say I should have found more about the funding opportunities. The field I was working in, computation, I was not very sure that I would get a funding, to tell you the truth. So even if I heard about it, I always had this feeling that it's for the synthetic people, because most of the fundings you see, the projects, it is on synthesis, it's on an experiment, and I never thought that, I could go ahead and do it. Later naturally changed, that's why I applied for the Marie Curie funding. So at that time, I thought the only way I could do it was getting through, by writing mails. And what I'd missed was a network, and which I would recommend for everyone who is listening to this. Build a network, a scientific network, a professional network of people, of seniors, of juniors, of people in different countries, working in different environments like companies and academia. So they will tell you, those who are already in there, they will help you and guide you that, whether this particular environment is suitable for you. So that's the best way to go ahead. It will also help you to make the decision. Maybe you're not very clear when you're ending your PhD. There's a lot of tension going on. You're writing a thesis. But if there are people whom you trust and who can guide you in this way too, this is how you are, these are your interests, you should go ahead and try that. They can also, introduce you to people. Referrals are one of the biggest, I think so, one of the, main ways of getting jobs in even companies. So build your network when you go to conferences, when you meet people. Try to have that professional connection and join LinkedIn or Twitter. I think LinkedIn is more for companies, it seems. I'm not really sure. I'm more active on LinkedIn personally, but that's what it is. I didn't really answer what are the funding opportunities. So there are a lot. So I applied in Europe, so I know about Humboldt and Marie Curie. And there are also, the professors can apply based on, for their individual fundings, get a funding and take a candidate, a postdoc, based on that. So you will have to talk to people to know more about it. I'm a little less knowledgeable about the opportunities in US. I've not worked there. But certainly there are also, if you're planning to go to a company, it might be a good idea to find out if there are any PhD or postdoc opportunities in that company, to get in, or if there's an academic group which is a collaboration with a company. So that could help you to go in the right direction. I've heard this, that India and US are much more similar, and India and Europe is a quite, different culture. What I found is in India, and most probably also in US, it's more about work, if possible 28 hours of a day. And again, this depends on your group, this depends on your group leader, but it's more, let's say, percentage-wise. You do your work, you do your work, you do your work. If possible, you're always seen working, and you get results, you show what you have done, and more emphasis on that. But in Europe, the emphasis is more on maintaining your work-life balance. As an example, I could say that, so I spoke about postdocs and my work in Italy. I have traveled a lot, I think more than what I have traveled in India. I've traveled across Europe so much, so many countries, and I've also got a chance to do my first public performance in dance in Europe. So, and the main reason for this was that the emphasis was given on maintaining a balance between work and life. It was just not work, 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 and Saturday, Sunday also work. No, it was more or less of like, work, but your productivity will increase when you give yourself a break and spend your, and have some time for your own life. If you have a family, then time with your family, and that's given equal importance. That's the main difference I found. And again, I would specify it depends on the group you're going to, on the group leader, on the professor you're working with, and try your best when you're going abroad to find out, if possible, to talk to people and find out how the environment is. You'll also get an idea by looking at the publications, let's say, if the people are publishing and so on and so forth. That is from the scientific side. But by talking to people, maybe Indians, maybe not, not necessarily maybe Indians, you can try to contact and find out that, how the culture is. Is it very, stressful? And again, the stressful and being, like, there are people who like working 24 hours a day. Maybe you're one of them, maybe you're not. Then you have to find where you're going. Would you be able to stay there? So, depending on each situation, If you're looking for an industry job in India or abroad, I would recommend that go and apply for a job as soon as you finish your PhD. Or you can look for a postdoc, but maybe in a company, or as I previously said, maybe in an academic setup where they do have active collaborations with companies. So if your aim is a company, then start looking at it from the start, right? Because the thing is, many a times, having a postdoc, first of all, would not be considered as an experience, additional experience, and second, it might be considered as a liability because you're being trained for a few more years in a particular mindset, which is an academic mindset. The academic environment is very different to a corporate environment. And as you grow older in a postdoc, in an academic postdoc, the way you're thinking is changing a bit, right? So it might be considered as a liability. So if you're very clear that you want to join a company, then apply for a job right after PhD. Or, again, you can look for an industry postdoc, which would help you there. So there are a few options, but I personally would not recommend going for a academic postdoc if you're planning, if you're very clear that you want an industry job. This is a question I think close to my heart. But first, let me clarify. It's just not women who face societal pressures. There are men who face the same. It seems because I know that a lot of times we see that there is disparity. Girls are getting less education. There are more girls who are doing well at the graduation level, post-graduation level, but you don't find many in jobs or in PhDs. But men also face different kinds of societal pressures, which I should not be talking about, which someone else most probably would. But yes, as a woman, even as a girl, there were some differences, but my family has been very supportive, at least in school and college, about me getting educated, getting the best possible, percentage, or trying to open up my mind. But as I grew up, as I started what we call a marriageable age, things started changing in my family, and also in the perspective, in the eyes I saw of the people who were supporting me at that time. The first thing which I should mention is that I did my PhD after having a child. So I had a 2.5, 3-year-old kid when I started writing my NET exam, and I cleared it. So I did my master's, got married. After that, gave a break. There were many people. So my family at that time was in France, and I'd come here to write a NET exam, which was not really encouraged, let me put it that way, the way I was encouraged when I was in school. Because there was a general feeling I got that being a woman, the importance has to be given to your child, your family, your husband. But I do not agree that you have to make that kind of a choice. It depends on who the people who are in your life, and you can choose. And it's you as a woman or as a man who has to make the choice of what to do, irrespective of what people tell you. So that has been in my life the rule from a from my childhood. I have never been someone, I do listen to people, I do try to understand what their perspective is, but I do not make decisions based on what other people think is right for me. I think, I analyze, I become a scientist, and then I decide that whether this would be right for me. And that's how I made a decision that I cannot sit at home. Again, a personal choice, that I don't want to sit at home. I want to do a PhD. I wrote the NET exam, I cleared the exam, and I entered my PhD. So even during my PhD, I should to give you an idea of the experiences I had during interviews. I have been asked, I wanted to do a PhD in organic synthesis. My master's is in organic synthesis from IIT Roorkee. And at that time, I thought that if it's MSCs in organic synthesis, that's the only subject I would get a PhD in. And I've been asked that what happens if my husband calls me back? Would I still continue my PhD? And I just used to smile and say, but there's a reason I want to, I'm making an effort to do a PhD. It's just not in a flow. If after 3 years you're writing an exam and starting a PhD, it's not an easy decision to make. But again, the ease of the decision depends on you, how much your motivation. So there was a part of motivation in the question. Motivation is me, myself. There is no one else. I can assure you there might be moments in man and women's life, anyone's life, it's not particularly women specific, that no one would support you, including the people you, at that time you would doubt whether they love you or not. They do, but they are talking to you according to their experience, and you have to make a choice based on your life and what you feel is right. Don't enter into a life where you're going to live in misery just because others made a decision for you. The next thing, you have full right, I have full right to make a wrong choice. And rather than, swimming in the guilt of making a wrong choice, if you find that's wrong for you, take a decision, get out of it, and go ahead and say, all right, this is done. I tried it, didn't work, I can try something else at any age, I did my PhD in quantum chemistry, and immediately the head would go like, all right, she did quantum chemistry, that's going to be her entire life, right? QMMM. But that's not true. Currently, I'm leading a computational efforts in the field of drug discovery. So there are no set rules for you as a human, as a person, or as a scientist. You have to make your rules. They might seem sometimes difficult to take because of what people are saying. So I have always, till now I've said as a man or a woman, but as I said, few examples like you should give more importance to your child. You should get married. I don't know how much it has changed in the last 10 years, but when I was younger, it was, you have to get married. You should have a feeling from your own self that I want to get this job done. I want to do this in my life. And again, you can make wrong choices. It's fine. It's your choice. I've made an effort personally that whatever choice I make, it doesn't hurt people, but people are going to get hurt. You take one decision or the other, there's someone or else who's going to say, I didn't like it. It doesn't matter. I've also sometimes made a decision on what I want to work on, irrespective of the fact that I'm being funded by someone else. I've said, no, I want to work on this and not that, because I know what I'll do good at. But when someone else is funding you, you also have to be careful that once you choose something, you must produce results, right? So, looks like being a woman in India, it depends also on the family you grew up in, right? So some people might not feel anything going on being a woman, but some from the childhood might be saying, from when you're a young child, I've seen kids, women, I should say girls, right, being told that you should learn how to cook and you should learn how to keep the house well because. But that depends on you, entirely on you. So what motivates me is just me. It's good if you get a right mentor who can motivate you in the right direction, and the mentors can change. It would be very fortunate if you find one. If not, be a mentor. Make your own mistakes and move ahead. And you will have maybe not the, People will say, will I be happy, will I not be? But you do not know that whether you'll be happy or not if you live by the decision of others. So at least what you can do fair to yourself is to live by your decisions. So I hope I answered the few questions I had. If I took too much time, so if any more questions, love to answer them. Take care.